Today we're going to look at a one world religion, reaching the source within you, looking at the various religions and truths that are within the religions, which allow you to achieve the source within you. So the source can be thought of as the thing that created the multiverse. So you always start with the beginning in the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Now, a lot of religions would have you worshipping some supreme deity. The Christian religion, which isn't my favourite, and I don't purport to be a Christian, even though my mother was a Christian, has you believing that there is a omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient deity that controls everything, and that there are the Ten Commandments, which if you break them you're going to get punished for, and if you create a mortal sin you'll burn forever in hell. Now, there's a problem with that, in that the world isn't a paradise. Just talk to a Christ-like figure like Assange in Belmarsh jail, or a messianic figure, a prophet like Greta Thunberg, and they would say things are hellish. So that then brings up the question, if you've got an omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent God, then why the hell is the world, according to Ocasio-Cortez, 12 years away from total destruction by climate change? This doesn't make sense, because we've got an omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God who would have to be batshit crazy to bring this creation into being. Then, of course, you get the Christian Catholic priests, who are well known for their love of little boy children, who go, oh, well, God gave you a free will and it's all your fault because he gave you a free will. But then, of course, we come to the problem. Christians say we were created in God's image. So if we're created in God's image, then we are default setting omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. That's our default setting. So if things go wrong, we should revert to our default setting. So the worse things get, the more we should approach omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipotence. So there's a bit of a problem there. They go, no, oh, the problem comes because in the Garden of Eden, well, I've never been to the Garden of Eden, but probably born-again Christians have, the serpent tempted Eve, the woman, and humans got a mortal sin from cohabiting with the serpent, which had laid its evil into Eve, blame it on the woman, That's great for the Me Too movement. And all that comes because you chose the way of evil, and you're getting punished by this omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient God. I go back to, as a scientist, logic. We're created in God's image, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. Therefore, since we're omniscient, all-knowing, omnipotent, all-powerful, omnipresent, everywhere, quantum mechanics, quantum wave functions are everywhere. Eve should have seen through the serpent Samael's evil and not cohabited with him. And if females aren't produced by God just from Adam's ribs, just basically dross from the male, Adam at least should have seen through it because he's created in God's image. So as you can see, the illogic in Christianity makes it not worthy of consideration. Next we come to another big religion, Islam. Now in Islam, they've got Allah. My father was a Muslim, so it's not as if I'm not one of that crowd. And in Islam, it's completely different than Christianity. In Christianity, if someone attacks you, you turn the other cheek and let them kick you in the face again. And you get crucified on the cross. And your temples are used by moneylenders. The Sanhedrin, which developed into the Rothschild Rockefellers, who now own the West. But in Islam, we don't have this thing about love thy neighbour as thyself, or turn the other cheek. If it's an infidel, you slaughter it like a dog. So Muhammad, who didn't say he was Christ and the Son of God, just a prophet, conquered huge tracts of the world, ended up super rich with lots of loving wives, because Muslims can have more than one woman. And he wasn't nailed to a cross. Bing, immediately. Look at religion, end result. Christians, they aspire to be Christ. What happened to Christ? He gets nailed to the cross. Like our Christian Julian Assange. I don't fancy ending up like Julian Assange in Belmarsh prison and then being sent off if he's extradited to an American supermax, knowing what the British and Americans get up to. So, don't fancy that very much. Muhammad, on the other hand, conquering huge tracts of the world, having loads of wives, and dying worshipped by all my followers, and slaughtering all my enemies like dogs. Yeah, I love some of that. That's good. So as you can see, looking at what they preach, not as a scientist, you just look at what they preach and their end result. Next one, Buddhism. Can't tread on a bug. And if you're suffering in the world, it's karma because you were born before, and it's punishment for your past lives, karma. And Buddhist avatars aspire to nirvana, which is basically erasing yourself completely so you can't go through the wheel of life and get tortured again and again and again. That has some truth, because if we're in a matrix run by some sadistic, malevolent intelligence, and our negative emotions be they in the physical body or in the afterlife in the soul, because Christ talked about the middle place where the archons, Greek name for authority, torture you, trapping your soul for eternity to feed off you by making you relive your past memories. If that is actual reality, then of course the Buddhist methodology of erasing yourself so you can't be tortured and used as a battery which supplies energy from you being tortured seems to be a good idea. Nirvana. But look at the end result. Christ got nailed to a cross. He's got all this power, Son of God, but he's got nailed to the cross. Why? Father, why have you deserted me? Blah, blah, blah. To expedite fucktard sins. Like Justin Bieber or Selena Gomez, you know, these born-again Christians. Hardcore born-again Christians. And as I say, I wouldn't give up 1 second of my lifetime to suffer for fucktards like that. And Buddha got poisoned and died from poisoning. That seems rather strange. If you're a highly developed entity, wouldn't you be able to see that the crap that was fed to you was poison? We're not talking about normal people, we're talking about the Buddha. So there seems to be some inconsistencies there. Next, of course, we come to the religion of the elite of the West, which is the worship of the great Lord Lucifer, enemy of God, who nailed his only son to the cross. Obviously, seems to be some sense in that. If everyone aspires to be Jesus or following the path of Jesus, the only way to heaven is the path of Jesus, according to the Bible, being tortured to death, no, don't fancy that. Maybe you do, I don't fancy that. So the Luciferians would come with the statement that the Christian God's a mad fuck, and everyone who worships the mad fuck deserves to be tortured to death because they're all evil. Which is an opinion. Then you have to look at the results. Who are the people in the West with all the money and the power and who are worshipped? The Luciferians. They are the ones who've acquired huge wealth, power, and run the West. So you go, oh, that religion works. There must be something in that. So let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. We don't like all the nasty stuff, but we like all the money and all the worship and all the long life, but we don't fancy the killing stuff and the paedophilia stuff. Next, of course, we come into Wicca, worshipping Mother Earth. Now, if Mother Earth is so powerful, the witches and the pagans worshipping Gaia, Mother Earth, if Mother Earth is so powerful, then how come Mother Earth can't get rid of a simple infestation, which we call the human race, which according to Greta Thunberg, Ocasio-Cortez, and the Save the Planet movement, we've only got 12 years to total destruction and we're going to be dead and the planet's going to be finished forever. So why would we worship something that can be killed by a simple infestation of minuscule little monkeys running around the planet going mad? So from this simple introduction, you see that as a scientist, you go, don't want to be a Christian because I don't fancy crucifixion. Don't really want to raise myself because I'd rather be Neo, get out the Matrix and kill off the architect. Take over the Matrix. Islam, well, I quite like that actually. He didn't burn on the cross. He became super rich, ruled an empire, had loads of wives, and everyone worships him as a prophet. So that seems to work. Islam, bing. Like that one. You might go, oh no, Islam's bad because the media tells us it's bad. Yeah, but look at the practitioners of Islam, Muhammad. Where did he end up? Nailed to a cross? No. Poisoned like Buddha? No. So don't judge unless you're madly keen to be crucified or poisoned. So if you want to be Julian Assange, the modern day Christ, who tried to save the world and ended up in Belmarsh, he might be released and he might live a happy life. We can but hope. So you Christians, pray for him. Pray for him. But yours truly, as a scientist, don't fancy that much. Next, of course, Luciferians. Well, they got all the money and all the riches, and they seem to have all the eyes wide shut parties, loads of deviant sex. And they've taken over the West, which is kicking the shit out of most countries. There must be something in that, actually. So let's give that a tick. Oh no, you can't give a tick to Luciferianism. Why not? It works. Islam worked for Muhammad. Christianity, cross. Buddhism, cross. But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. There might be some good stuff there. The Wiccans and the pagans worshipping the planet. Mother Earth. Well, if Mother Earth's going to be dead in 12 years, why should I worship her? Because, Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of the Democrats, Al Gore, Soros, and the rest of that lot, we're doomed. We're doomed. So, now, give that another cross. If Mother Earth can't protect herself from a few monkeys, then there's problems there. Next we go into Shinto, worship of our ancestors. Possible? Yeah. What happened to the Japs though, with their Shinto religion? They got nuked. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Then we got Fukushima, all the radiation, which they're covering up. So, Stick across on that. What else we got? Voodoo, which came from Africa. Africa's an absolute paradise, isn't it? There's no problems in Africa. Africa's absolutely wonderful. Paradise on earth because of their religion, voodoo. So if we want to go to the Gambia or South Africa or Somalia or Uganda or Mali or the Congo, they're all paradise on earth, aren't they, because of their voodoo gods? No, not across there. So you see how we're starting to look at religion. Don't look at what they say, look at what they do. If their gods are so powerful, how have they improved the lot of their worshippers? Because the bottom line, when you're looking at it from a business point of view, is if I give you something, my soul, for all eternity, what do I get in return? So, if I'm a Christian, the West, of course, has got much better, hasn't it? There's no problems in the West. We haven't got any problems at all, have we? We live in absolute paradise in the Christian world. America, Canada, Europe, Australia. Wonderful. They're just getting better and better, aren't they? Because we worship the Christian God. Well, I don't think anyone would agree that that's the truth for the Christian world. And the number of people going to Christian churches outside of Africa, which of course is a paradise, being ironic, is going down. So one can see that Christianity per se, even though it might have some really good truths, so we don't chuck the baby out with the bathwater, isn't the core of a one world religion. Now, Buddhism, Buddhist countries, they're not doing awfully bad, but they're not doing awfully good. Most of them are developing world countries. So that's really not a religion worth following. Luciferianism, worship of the great Lord Lucifer. Well, that works because all the people that worship the great Lord Lucifer and have done the contracts seem to be super rich, super successful and running the West. You go, oh, no. What? You know, if you're going to give your soul to God, what do you get back? Hard life and the promise of an eternal life in heaven where it's going to be wonderful. But you get screwed over in life. Luciferians sell their soul and all the riches in the world, and they become super rich, super successful. Vis-a-vis all your A-listers, look on Google, who've sold their soul to the great Lord Lucifer. So that works. I'm a scientist, so we're looking at it completely objectively, what works. Next, of course, we look at Gaia, witches, Wiccans, pagans, worshipping the planet. What do? They want to bring back nature and bring back Gaia and heal the planet. That doesn't seem to work because, according to Greta Thunberg and Ocasio-Cortez and the Democratic Party and the Greens worldwide, we're 12 years away from the end of humanity. So their religion certainly is a non-starter. As we see with Shinto with the Japs, they got A-bombed and they got Fukushima. The Africans with their voodoo have got, well, just wander around Africa and you'll see how wonderful it is. Their gods have made it wonderful for them. That's why they're all coming to Europe on the boats. That's why they're all coming across to Europe, because their gods have made Africa so wonderful. So you see why we're introducing the religions. These are the things on the platter of a one world religion, which are offered up to us. And we worked out that the only ones that give any good results are Islam and Luciferianism. And Islam gave good results to Muhammad, but a lot of the Muslim world is now Syria, Iraq, Libya, loads of Muslim refugees desperate to come to the West. So obviously that's not our prime contender. But if you're the prophet of Islam, great. Looking at Catholicism, all of Central South America, Catholic, a multitude of shitholes, all of them desperate to come to America to be illegal migrants, to be given free citizenship, free healthcare, free education, free everything, free homes, free cars by the Democratic Party. So obviously Catholicism doesn't seem to work. Let's look at Judaism. The Jews got their promised land in Israel. Well, we got most of the Jews in Israel unhappy because they're poor. Who are the ones with shed loads of money who are being worshipped and run basically the global financial system outside of China? The Luciferians, the ones that worship Lucifer. Oh, we're straying into dark territory here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If we look at results, so if you looked at religion as a results-based business and what it did for you when you joined that religion, then Luciferianism would be top of the list. Because once you join, you get success and loads of money. Okay, the downside. This is the downside. Burning eternally in hell. So there's a bit of a downside on that one. So before you go, oh, yeah, I want to be a Luciferian. Yeah, that's good, it's good, yeah. If you have a soul and the other bit's true, then being tortured for all eternity would be a bit of a bummer. So let's, have a caveat. Could be a problem there. Could be a mousetrap. Oh, nice cheese, crack. So as you can see, there really is room for a debate upon a one world religion. Do we need a religion, first of all, as a scientist? Is there any point in having a religion? What is a religion? What's religion? Well, if you're going to completely redesign religion and make it relevant to everyone, I don't think it's relevant to say that I need a God to save me. That I've got to give my soul away to some God that's created a shithole on the planet. Well, it might be good in Beverly Hills, but if you go to my neck of the woods, the UK, London's a shithole, Manchester's a shithole, Birmingham's a shithole, Brighton's quite nice where I come from, that's why I live there. But a lot of the country's a shithole. We're not talking about Nicaragua, El Salvador, Panama, the ghettos in the Congo, Mali, or various other super shitholes. But there's some really bad places in the West. So obviously, a one world religion can cherry pick the best bits from the other religions, but what I'm bringing forth is that all the religions might have truths within them, but they're not the truth. And as a scientist, you take objective truths. Now you say, well, religion can never be objective because it's religion. You take it on belief. No. A one world religion would be turning religion into a science. So one would then have to have a scientific theory to begin building a religion. If we're going to build a religion, where would we start? So if one is going to make a one world religion, one has to ask the question, is religion actually relevant to a scientist? Or are we going to take the Dawkins route, which is simply gene machines, there's no thing above that, and mechanistic science is the be-all and end-all? Now, that would be the perfect scenario if 21st century science had achieved the omega point, all that was to know in the multiverse, all conceptualized into one giant scientific theory. So to begin our journey into a one world religion, we need to go to the end. What's the omega point? Well, the omega point was a concept developed into a book by an American scientist. You can look it up on Google. That the civilization that won the evolutionary competition, that either killed off all the other civilizations, or like the Borg, assimilated them. If you're not a Star Trek fan, look up the Borg and Star Trek. Was the civilization that would be around at the end of the universe and could then build with their technology things which could, not call them computers or AIs, because that's Stone Age, club, duh, club, duh, club, duh, AI, club, duh. No, it would be something, far beyond. I prefer to use Ian M. Banks's, he was a science fiction writer. I prefer to call them culture minds. The civilization was called the culture, so we can call them omega point minds. That's good term. Doesn't, whatever they're running, they could be running their minds in whatever. In quantum mechanical space, multiverse, quantum vacuum, or beneath the quantum vacuum, the grid, or the sublime, all terms Ian M. Banks came up with, or beyond. But whatever they're running in these minds can model the entire history of the multiverse. Entire history. They can mirror great minds like Donald J. Trump, or evil minds, fucktard minds like Pelosi, or anywhere in between, and recreate them and build an entire multiverse run in a mind, an omega point mind, or minds. Now, they, of course, would have the Dawkins officially stamped science of what's in the multiverse. So, Dawkins, who has a go at religion and says that science is everything, is incredibly arrogant to think that in the 21st century we've approached anywhere near a understanding of the multiverse and everything that occurs in the multiverse, so we then can denigrate religion because, of course, we know everything, which is obviously fallacious. As a scientist, you go, no, that doesn't work. Now, the omega point minds would, by definition, have the best scientific theories of how the multiverse works, because they're at the end of time and can model the entire multiverse on their minds, and therefore they'd be the starting point for our Dawkins approach to religion, which is religion's bunkum. It's all science. Science is everything. If it isn't science, then it's simply fucktards like Bieber and Selena Gomez and the rest of the Christian fucktards or other religious fucktards simply believing in a fantasy. Now, luckily, the US and Russian military got into clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is the projection of your consciousness outside of your body. Which the Americans called remote viewing. Now, if, as some of them say, they remotely viewed the future in 5-10 years ahead and had positive results, which would be precognitive remote viewing, then of course we've got the first basis for exploration. If we're trying to develop science to take over from religion, to go on the exploratory trip, are we the source? And if we are the source, how can we unlock the source within us? If we're not the source, we're simply, according to Elon Musk, matrix information run in some AI simulation, then of course our trip, our voyage will be a failure, because we're simply a very complex set of algorithms. The religious lot would say, no, we're not in a matrix, we're not algorithms, because we've got a soul and spirit, and we're aspects of God. And we can merge with the Godhead. A cultist like myself. So, you want to know my religion? I'm an occultist, which means I'm a magician. That doesn't mean I pluck rabbits up my arse, but I'm into occult magic, vis-a-vis Aleister Crowley, or the Egyptian high priests, or people like L. Ron Hubbard, who used Crowley's work with the OTO to develop Scientology, or Colin Bloy, the 007's, MI6's occult 007, which means that, of course, we bring in new data, because if we're a occultist, we have a lot more data than Dawkins, the scientist. Because, of course, we can do experimental science, which people would call occult magic. We can do an experiment, which is an occult ritual, and see whether we get a result. If we get a result, then we obviously know it's working and our hypothesis is correct. And we're not alone, because the Illuminati, the people that rule the West, we're going to rule the world until I came along. They do occult rituals all the time. Hollywood films are occult rituals. The stage performances of A-listers are occult rituals. Loads of occult rituals in advertising. In ceremonies, in our Christian church rituals, loads of occult rituals. Their occult rituals seem to work because they're rich and famous and make shed loads of money and rule the West. So, tick. That doesn't mean, of course, we have to bring in Lucifer, the archetype of evil, or at least the adversary of our Jewish God. I, of course, was also into shamanism. So I looked at the work of Don Juan, as written down by Carlos Castaneda, which, of course, is now totally disproved. It's all wrong, it's all fake, just made up. According to Wikipedia. Nevertheless, I investigated, from my personal viewpoint, the Castaneda material and duplicated it entirely. So, from my viewpoint, big tick. Everything in the Castaneda books, all correct. Even though, according to Wikipedia, no, it's all false, fraud, blah, blah. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. But the British tried that, decided they didn't like my shit, stuck me in the mental home, and the psychiatrist kicked me out because I was sane. So that didn't work for them. So obviously, when we bring in occultism and shamanism, which basically from a scientist would be seen as experimental research in the field of field effects. So if we broaden the remit of science to look at field effects and fields, maybe the so-called material world, which the human race resides within is simply a figment of their imagination. And they actually live in field effects which are quantum in nature and beyond, and they simply lock into a tiny little segment of reality, tiny little minute sliver, while a huge broad spectrum of reality remains totally opaque to them. This would be the occultist and shamanistic viewpoint. Dawkins was going, no, we know everything. In the 21st century, we discovered everything, or we will, and we're nearly there, and couldn't possibly be paranormal phenomena or spiritual phenomena because genes are everything. Which, as a scientist, you'd have to go, no, he's a zealot. We don't know everything in the 21st century. We don't know everything in the 22nd or the 23rd or the 53rd or the 153rd or the 2 millionth century. And according to Greta Thunberg and Ocasio-Cortez, we've only got 12 years to go. So we'll never reach there, will we? Because according to them, we're all doomed. So better vote Democrat. So you can at least die following people you believe in, even though they might be demented, or in the case of Pelosi, completely criminally insane. But that's another question. Now, going back to the psychic warfare program, we know the Russians and Americans developed a psychic warfare program. The Americans said, oh, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. The Russians said, yeah, it does work. It works, yeah, we got super soldiers. Yeah, it works, yeah, well, we do all these miracle stuff. Their scientists go, no, it doesn't work. Their military go, yeah, it does work. Yeah, we've got all these super soldiers. And we've been researching since the 60s. Now, of course, you have to look at why the West would be desperately into suppressing this information about the field effects. This huge world outside of the narrow band, our little Overton window of perception, what's allowed. Simply put, you've got a small number of people that own everything and are getting more and more money, disenfranchising everyone else in the West. And they simply don't want people with massive psychic potential coming along going, oh, you robbers, you naughty people, I'm going to do you in and make the planet better by doing you in and giving your quadrillions to all these starving people across the world. So as you can see, there's no secret why the West would completely suppress psychic potential, because it's a danger to the few, tiny little number. Basically, the people who rule the West, you can fit them into this room that my cameraman lives in Vietnam. You can fit them all in it. Not that many. All the heads of, Rothschild, Rockefeller, that's about it. Heads of the family. So you can see why psychic warfare would be massively suppressed in the West. That's a problem though, because in China, no, they went round collecting up all the Chinese children with psychic potential. And in Russia, of course, under Vladimir Putin, they've been developing it quietly. And of course, haven't made it a secret, they've now got psychic super soldiers. Look on the RT report. Now, why is he talking about this? Well, we're going to try and make religion into a science. Now, to make religion into a science, where do we go first? Where's our one-stop shop? Well, there's only one place to go if you want to make religion into a science. That, of course, is the omega point, the end of the multiverse, when they developed all this science and built a whole simulation of the multiverse from Big Bang to the end on their minds, which might be running on anything. Including superstring candy floss, who knows, I'm running on something. Now, or, M-theory membranes or whatever. Remember, we're only in the 21st century. Can someone from the past get to the omega point to look at this science and then become a Dawkins? Yeah, I've got all the science now. I understand all the science. Now we can turn religion into a science. So instead of saying, oh, we'll never solve the problem of religion, it's always going to be answered. No, we are, as a scientist, that's me in the group, developing methodologies to turn religion into a science, which it has to be. Because if it's not a science, then simply it's belief system. Believe me, send me all your money, send it to my new church. I want to build a nice big church and have 50 Rolls Royces and huge mansions on my own island, the normal religion trick. Now, we know from remote viewing that you can go a few years in the future. Not very applicable because, you get these so-called remote viewers and they remote view the future and then, you can cherry pick. That happened and that happened, but what about the hundreds of things you said would happen but never happened? Oh, I did say that would happen and that would happen. Yeah, but you said hundreds of things wouldn't happen. So statistically, that's not very valid. But we know that from remote viewing, you've got an energy field which you can project into the space outside of you. Now, if you looked at Avengers Endgame, project ourselves into the quantum world, we could start to time travel, could we? Yeah. Oh, why? Oh. No, if we're going to time travel, we need to stick ourselves into hyperspace, the fifth dimension. And be able to travel through hyperspace, not to Alpha Centauri quickly, but to future events. Now, if we're going to do that, of course, we need some guideposts. So why haven't remote viewers been able to project into the future 100% of the time? They've just been cherry picking. Oh, I got that right, but what was 1,000 things I said would happen and never happened? So as a scientist, you go, well, that's statistically invalid. But is it possible to actually project yourself into the future? Because if you could project yourself into the future and learn augmentation technologies to boost you all the way to the omega point, once you got to the omega point, all the science that would ever be discovered in the multiverse would have been discovered. Once there, of course, you'd be in the position of Dawkins, who thinks that religion is a fallacy and the only thing that's viable is our genes and genes replicating, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't talk about epigenetics or the other stuff. But the concept is quite sound. don't believe in religion, believe in science. So the first step to a one world religion would be methodologies to be able to project your consciousness to the omega point, which might be 100 billion years in the future. Quite a long way, but once you get into the fifth dimension, of course, possibility. So now, of course, a one world religion boils down to step one, get into the fifth dimension. Now, the fifth dimension, according to Theodore Kaluza, who linked up light with general relativity in 1926, starting point. You know, physicists will go, oh, Kaluza stuff, that's old hat. You know, we've gone well beyond into string theory and M theory and dark energy and dark matter and spinor theory. And gut theories. Yeah, but, you know, get me into the fifth dimension. So instead of getting overcomplicated with stuff that doesn't seem to work, string theory, looks nice, doesn't give us anything. Gut theories, got to stick in loads of parameters, answers before you can get anything out of it. Not good. M theory, hasn't done anything. Quantum mechanics, though, runs a third of the world. A third of the world's technologies run on quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics, tick, definitely good. General relativity, yeah, proven, large scale, loads of positives of general relativity, but nothing particularly relevant to the real world, but seems to be okay. Can we link electromagnetism, light, with general relativity? Yeah, Kaluza did, where he did his theory where light is simply gravity in the fifth dimension. Which means if you want to get into the fifth dimension, you've got to get into something called the light. Do any religions talk about the light in order to ascend? Yeah, they all do. Yeah, Islam does. Christianity does. Shintoism does. Voodoo does. Luciferianism does, because Lucifer's the archangel of light. Oh, even the Wiccans, with their 12 years before their planet ends, with the high priestess, Greta Thunberg, even they talk about the light. So obviously, starting point, all religions, light. When we die, tunnel of light opens up for people who've died and come back. So the tunnel of light seems to be the starting point for a one world religion. So exploring the phenomena of light and how to get into the tunnel of light while still alive, get into the fifth dimension, see if one can go all the way to the omega point to get all the science that the winning civilization will acquire from all the rest. To start with the Dawkins viewpoint that religion's bunkum and we've only got science, seems to be step one towards a one world religion. And of course, that means that Luciferianism, which has this entity, the archangel of light, that fell, seems to be something that is of interest. The Christian bits walking in the light, Islamic bits walking in the light, Buddhist bits, all the bits about reaching the light seem to be useful as starting points for our journey towards a one world religion, But of course, it's a waste of time if we're Elon Muskite and we're simply in the Matrix, because it's simply a waste of time. But let's take the opposite view, that we're not in a Matrix. We'll explain why we're not in a Matrix as we proceed. But if we are in a Matrix, just switch off now and give up. You're simply information there to be processed by the intelligence that's using you as a pain engine or whatever engine you're being used for. But let's say we're not, then the interesting question is, if we're not Matrix information, why aren't we? Because it seems highly likely we should be. And if we're not, what's the reason we're not Matrix information, but actually potential aspects of the source? Because the chances of us being potential aspects of the source, not Matrix information, seem remarkably, if not infinitesimally, low. But if they're not, then that means, of course, that the human race has achieved sourcehood and couldn't be matricized from the beginning, because if it achieves the source, it can never be matricized. So we've got some real interesting questions to address in part 2, One World Religion, how to achieve the source within you.